welcome back to the Win Show. I'm so glad you tuned in. You're going to want to watch this show. I'm excited about my guest, Nadra Lipka. Welcome to the Win Show. Oh my God, I'm so glad you accepted my invitation. Today we're actually going to be talking about a wonderful subject entitled Newlywed Life and also saving yourself for the right guy. Now, Nadra, how has married life been?
It's been pretty awesome. I think everyone should get married.
See that? It's awesome to see that it's like that. But I have to tell you, you have got to tell me your story. What was it like? You're newlywed, saving yourself. Just tell us about the story.
So for the most part, we met while I was working in New York City. I'm an educator. Love my job dearly. Love working with students and kids. But we met while I was working, and it was a challenging position that I was in at the time, and I wasn't really looking for anyone. However, God really set it up where he was in this room, and he will not admit it, but he was just the most handsome person I thought at the time in the room as a teacher coming in. He had a tie on. I'm like, oh my gosh, who's this new guy? He's really handsome. Didn't say that to him. But he pursued it. He spoke to another teacher, and the teacher gave me my information. And he originally told me he was looking for a job. So I was trying to get him a job, and then it ended up where he's just like, want to go out for something to eat? And I'm like, what? I thought we were looking for a job. So that's how it originally started, but the rest is pretty much history. I just love him dearly. We're having a great time together as newlyweds. It's a busy season for him, but yeah, I'm looking forward to what God has prepared for us.
I have to ask the question because, again, many young ladies that are going to be watching the show may be asking themselves the question, what was it that you gave off that caused Peter to pursue you? Because I think it's something about you. I think it was something that moved him. What was it? Because we could talk about the Nadra then.
Yeah.
We could talk about the Nadra now.
Yeah.
Kind of tell us about a little bit of both.
Yeah. To be honest, I really think it was my relationship that I was fixing with God. To be honest, starting out, I was raised in Jamaica, but moving here was challenging. I went to a challenging time. And there was a point in my life where I really didn't love me and understand what I was going through, and I didn't understand the process that God was taking me through this process and things I needed to learn to get me there. I wasn't able to just handle different situations that I was going through. However, starting at my current church, I was able to work through some of those issues, and I think working through those issues really allowed me to become the person that I am, the person that he actually loves, because prior to this, I really didn't love myself as much as I should. I really didn't know me, but I'm learning about me, and I think knowing who I am and being confident in that person, I think might be, something that really drew him towards me. I really and truly believe in that.
That's beautiful. So you've been married how long now? About a month? It's been about a month since the wedding.
Yes.
The wedding was absolutely
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank
were
you.
beaming and glowing. And
Thank you so much.
It was just phenomenal
Thank
to see
you.
you guys. But I have to ask the question that here you are now married.
Yes.
You told me what you felt he saw in you.
Yes.
But I think we can go a little deeper and talk about the preparation.
Yes.
And what it really takes. Because I'm a teacher and I teach women. I'm a mentor, different things like that. But one of the key points I like to teach when I'm dealing with women is in the preparation process, the things you can do, not just in the inner. Case in point, financially, being a saver, being a person that doesn't have a lot of debt. I think all those are like good key points for a woman before she goes and she gets married. Were there certain things, other than what you told us, that was attractive in you that Peter saw? What other things do you feel that was important?
Most definitely my independence. I lived prior to meeting Peter, I was already on my own, maybe for 8 years. I always had my own apartment. I was living on my own right out of college. And that really allowed me to be able to manage my life financially. Like I said, starting where I'm currently at my church, that helped me emotionally where I needed to grow. However, the financial part, it really allowed, I had to answer to myself. If there was a bill that I needed to pay, it's me. You know, it's not, oh, let me try to, you know, get help from someone else. So that really gave me the basis that I needed. So now, being married and having to handle everything else that comes with it, my money, his money, and whatever else we're planning for the future, it really gives me, I'm going in with the experience already, so I'm better at managing our finances, right? Because I am in control of the money. You know, other things, living on my own, had to make sure that the house is kept, stuff like that. It really helped me to, you know, kind of like a training, in the process. Yeah, so when now I'm a wife and I know, oh, this has to be done, but I'm used to it already, so I think I'm prepared. That kind of helps me.
I have to ask the question. Do you have any plans of maintaining this glow? Because even as you're talking,
Glow?
I never did. Yes, there is actually a
You
glow.
sure it's not the white?
We're going to take a commercial break and we're going to continue our discussion with Nadra Lipka talking about being a newlywed. But when we come back, we're going to talk about what it takes to save yourself for the right person. We'll be right back. Guest Nadra Lipka here. We're talking about something that's so relevant in the day and time that we're living in today. She's a newlywed, but also we want to talk about some other things, what it took in the preparation process while preparing to get married. Again, thank you, Nadra, for joining our show. Before we left our last segment, I was talking about the glow that's in your face, the glow that's in your eyes when you talk about Peter. But I want to talk about sort of like the communication and the conversation you've had before you said, I do.
Okay. Some of the conversations we had were very serious, to be honest. We started out our relationship, when I first started out our relationship, you know, I was at a turning point in my Christian life where I'm like, you know what, I really want to do this thing the right way. You know, I've been playing around for long enough, I really want to do it the right way. And I had planned on, you know, saving myself, being celibate, and I went in, telling him this information. And he understood, which was surprising to me. He understood, but midway, I really slipped up, to be honest. I just want to be truthful. But afterwards, I said, you know what? Actually, I went to my church and my pastor preached a message, and I swear it convicted my heart. And I really and truly had to go back to him, even after slipping up, and say, you know what? I'm so sorry. And it bothered me that I had to have that conversation because I thought about the fact of him saying, what? No, what?
Right.
I did think about that. And at that point, I really loved him. So I did go in saying, you know, I'm so sorry. But like I said from the beginning, I really want to save myself. I really want to be celibate. And we had the conversation, and I swear, he literally looked at me and he said, Nadra, if that's what you want to do, I fully support you. And I could have just fell out. That is not what I had expected, to be honest. I really didn't expect that because I was blaming myself. You know, I felt, to be honest, I felt a little dirty because I kept thinking to myself, Nadra, oh my goodness, this is what you said you were going to do. But from then on, I did. I did save myself. And you know what? It was such a joy. One way that I can explain it is like waiting to open like the biggest present on like Christmas Day. Right. To be honest, it was such a joy. Right. Even though I did slip up, it was a joy knowing and waiting, you know, until that moment when it's the right time. right? So I really, that's something very precious that I know that, I really enjoyed waiting for, and it was well worth it.
That's good. Did you guys do marriage counseling?
You know what? We originally planned on doing marriage counseling, and we never got to do it.
Okay.
We have very busy schedules, and for some reason, I don't know, but we never got to do it. Is it in the future? Maybe we could still do it. But we really never did any marriage counseling. Okay. Yeah, not together, no.
And I tell you, because I know both of you and I've seen both of you, it's really almost like, if I can use an analogy, it's like glue that's stuck. And you two are like, you can see the love. See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the joy and just this giddiness about you, which is beautiful. And oftentimes they talk about the butterflies in the stomach when you're new.
That's actually real.
And see, you have those butterflies. But I have to, they have this game that they call the Newlywed game. What are some of these? Do you feel you really know your husband?
I think I do. I think I know him more than he knows himself. No, I do. I think I do. Yeah, for the most part, I think so. Yeah, but I think we're constantly learning about each other. We try to. I've learned I've learned so much about communicating and the importance of communicating. So I really use my relationship, as like a stepping stool to help me. So a lot of times I really try to communicate just about everything, how I'm feeling. And I'm saying, I need a moment because I'm not feeling so great right now about what you said. I think that's important. It's something I teach my kids to do as an educator. So it's something that I need to work on, and I try to really use that in our relationship.
Now, do you guys have just a night where it's just you two? And let me tell you why I asked, because like I said, marriage evolves.
Yes.
And as time goes on, do you have that one time that it's like, this is the time for me and Peter, I know he's teaching here and I'm teaching here. Do you guys have that, can we call it a date night?
Yes, we do. We have our favorite place. It's in New York City, yes. Uba is the name of the restaurant. It's an Italian restaurant. We love it. Actually, that's where he took me after he proposed, the day after. And we love going there. It's a very chill ambiance, nice and cozy. But whenever we get to that point where we're working so much and he's too busy and we haven't seen each other, I'll shoot him a text and I'm like, I think we need to go to Uba. And usually that gets it. He's like, okay, when? Because he really loves the food there, and we're big food people, so that does work out. That really helps. That's our favorite date night, I think.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So if you had to tell all your girls, and I met some of your friends at the wedding.
Oh, yes.
Tell me, was he like really the Prince Charming that you were waiting for?
You know what? I'm so sorry for everybody else who didn't find their Prince Charming, but he really is. No, he really is. Like, my friends were so close. I'm really close with my friends because, we develop a relationship. I've known them since I've been in this country. And we always do the test where, in order for us to move further in our relationship, they have to meet the girlfriends. So, they met him and they were texting me and they were just like, oh my goodness, he's so nice. I'm like, wait, no, you guys never spoke about me like that. So I loved him. They understood that I loved him. When they met him, they just fell in love with him. He's a sweetheart. I wish everyone knew how funny he was. And you would understand. He's so hilarious.
Is he?
But yeah, he just, I get so into me.
I can remember oftentimes my oldest daughter's married, and her husband he says all the time, she was the bridge that caused him to come over.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that
That's
powerful?
deep.
So when I got a visual of this thing, there she was, and it was like he was coming over the bridge, and she caused him to come over. And can I tell you, Martha, when I thought about it, when I see it, I'm like, that is absolutely so beautiful. And that's what I love about us in having this topic today, because doing it right under God has its benefits. It has its benefits.
I agree.
It does. It has its benefits. And I can see that the glow, again, I keep going back to this glow, because every time I look at you, you have this glow about yourself. And it was worth waiting. It was just worth it.
It really was. And it's worth having someone that understands your who you are.
Yes.
Want to see you grow And like I said from the beginning, it's important to communicate where you stand, your beliefs. What do you think? You know, what are you looking for in the future? It's very important to communicate about those particular things, because I think in the end it really pays off.
Right.
Yeah.
So many marriages, and I think we all kind of can attest to that, are failing. How do you feel as a newlywed and newly married? Does it have, not that it would have an effect on you personally, but what do you think of the culture of marriages that are falling apart? And you are newly married, and you guys are, you know, you're enjoying it. What do you think about that? What's your viewpoint?
I try not to dwell on it, because that's not my belief. You know, I grew up among people that knew the sanctity of marriage. And for me, as far back as I can remember, as 8 years old, I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to get married. And for some reason, I wanted to go to Hawaii. I am going to go to Hawaii and then go, But for some reason, I had that kind of in my psyche ever since I was young. So I knew I wanted to be married. I knew I wanted a family. There's certain things that I knew, and I really just stuck to my guns with those particular things. And to be honest, it's something I've been praying for. I've always prayed, you know, God, please find me someone that, you know, understands who I am, that will love me for who I am, someone that we could grow together. So those are little things that, to be honest, I have been praying for a very long time. So even though I was surprised at how we met, I guess I really wasn't looking for anyone in the classroom, definitely not. But it happened in such a way that I know that it had to be ordained by God. So I really and truly just, you know, thank God for, you know, what He brought to me. I just really love Him. We just love spending time together, and I really enjoy it.
Also, too, because you're a biracial couple.
Yes.
Was that a conversation that you guys had before you got married?
Oh, yes. We did. Yeah, we did. We had to have that conversation. It's funny because when I first met his mom, the story is related, it was unfortunately at his dad's funeral. But, however, when I met her, you know, she's in this funeral and you think, you know, she's thinking about her husband. But the first thing she said to me, she grabbed me, first time I'm meeting her, she grabbed me, she gave me a big hug, and she said, oh, how was your drive down here? Because I drove from New York to Connecticut, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this lady's husband just died, and she's worried about my drive. And then it dawned on me, it made sense why Peter is just, you know, so loving. So it's, to be honest, it's not about, you know, color or race, to be honest. Love is love, right? You can't really see it, right? It's a feeling that comes from the heart. God is love, and to be honest, it's beautiful. It really has nothing to do with the complexion of her skin. But having those conversations makes it relevant to today because of the different things that could happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, and I came up in a time where my parents were divorced, and a lot of people in our family was divorced. So as I was coming up, I didn't see the wholeness of marriage, the wholeness. So, like I said, my husband and I have been married for 33 years. I honestly think we're like the first in my family to be married so long. So sometimes when people get married, they have the unfortunate of not seeing it, but the fortunate of having it. And as I look at you and Peter, my prayer is that you guys would just keep this thing going, just keep it going and keep it going. Because when the challenges come, and I love what you said about the communication, I love the fact of the date night. But one thing I want to kind of hone in on just a little bit, how do you guys handle boundaries?
Boundaries. Interesting.
Interesting.
No, right? It is. It's pretty interesting because I know I keep going back to communication, but for us, that's something that's key. Having conversations that, some conversations are touchy, but having those conversations regardless of how touchy they could get, I think is important because this is the person I consider my best friend. At the end of the day, regardless of what might happen, that's who I want to go to if something happened, right? And that's the first person I want to talk about. Oh my goodness, either I had a bad day, good day. So communicating those things that maybe I don't believe in or those things that might be too touchy, But I think having the conversation and communicating my point of view, how I feel about it, what I expect moving forward, and having, not having to compromise too much, but having a relevant point where both of us understand each other, I think is very important.
Both of you are educators.
Yes.
Tell me about that, because
like I said, only God could have done that, because I was in the classroom. I was literally a third grade teacher, and he was a substitute teacher at the time. Now he's in higher ed and he loves it. He prefers higher ed to being in the elementary school. But both of us are educators, and we love it.
You mentioned to me earlier about you're in school. Now, what are you going to school for?
So I'm currently at LIU Post. Going for my degree in leadership. Yes.
What does that entail?
Like if you want to become a principal or an assistant principal, that's a degree that you would need to pursue those positions.
Now, tell me a little bit about your faith. You talk a lot about your church. You talk a lot about what God has done for you. Where is your faith in this stage of your life? Where is your faith?
You know what? I'm going to be very honest, because I grew up in the church. And I went to Sunday school, I did it all, and then I had to leave Jamaica. That's where I'm from, and I came here, and I'm like, oh yes, no one to tell me go to church every Sunday, and I'm like, oh yes. So I became a party animal. I had fun. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And while I was out there, I really felt like Jonah. To be honest, that's the only way I could describe it, because I was there and I was having fun, but at the same time I knew something was missing. I knew something was missing. I knew the part of me that was missing. So in order for me to be whole again, to be honest, God rocked that ship a little bit. And I had to, because I really couldn't do it without him. I was at a breaking point in my life, like to my lowest. That was my lowest point. And I knew one day I really just laid in my bed and I cried myself to sleep, because I was just in such a really, really challenging place. And the funny thing is, my mom, the strong woman that she is, she actually called me and said, God showed me a picture. This is the reason why I think we communicate and we have a connection. She called me and she said, God showed me you crying yourself to sleep. And at that moment, I knew that, you know what? I got to stop playing. I can't do it anymore. I can't play anymore. I really have to take it serious. And that's how, I ended up in my current church. Yep.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I love it, because what you said about Peter earlier, he accepts your faith.
That was important. That was very important to me, because I want God to be number one in my life, and I am striving. Am I there? Definitely not. But I do want him to be number one in my life. So it was important to me that if I am going to spend the rest of my life with this person, that he understands where I stand and where my faith stands. I think that's very important.
That's good. We're going to take a commercial. We'll be right back, and we're going to finish our conversation with Nadra Lipka, talking about what it's like to be a newlywed. Welcome back to the Win Show. I have my lovely guest with me today, Nadra Lipka. We've been talking about what's it like to be a newlywed but yet saving yourself for the right one. Welcome back again, Nadra. Thank you again for being on our show. But I have to ask the question, such a wonderful conversation we've been having. What was it like when you made a decision for yourself that you're not going to live with Peter until it was the right time? What was that cohabiting like?
You know, I think it's very important. In today's world, you know, it's seen as okay to, you know, well, the quote-unquote term shack up. It's all right, right?
Right.
Sorry for using that term on your show. But it's not necessary. It's not. If you gain your independence, you know who you are. You can learn about each other from conversations just by communicating. You know what your habits are. Communicating those different things. You can have date nights. You could, you know, hang out, but you don't have to. It is not necessary to live together in order for you to have a successful marriage. That's my take on it.
And there's a certain joy when the expectation is, I'm just talking about just the wedding day. Like, you know on that day, when he sees you in your beautiful gown. First of all, just tell me what it was like when we were at the wedding and you were coming down the aisle and all I saw were you crying. What was going through your mind?
Like, oh my goodness, finally. Like, all of this that I've been dreaming of since I was 8. It's like, I don't know. I really can't explain it. But it was overwhelming, but it was an overwhelming joy. Like, I just felt the love, and I just knew I was doing the right thing. It's just beautiful. I really don't know how to explain it. Those butterflies you were talking about before, that's what it felt like.
Wow,
I really wish that for everyone, to be honest. Everyone should be able to just have, even if it's just a taste of that love and that joy. I really wish that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I want you to do? I want you to look in that camera, and I want you to encourage a young lady that's aspiring, that's dreaming, that really wants to know how they want to live. Because they're looking at you like, you know what, this has been well worth it. Why don't you encourage somebody right now in that camera?
You know, my words for you would be, stay true to who you are. Understand the person that you are and what God has made you to be. I really, really hope that you will stay true to who you are,
the expectation.
Yes. I really wish that for you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Win Show. It's been a wonderful conversation with my guest, Nadra Lipka, sharing what it's like to be a newlywed, but yet saving yourself for the right person. She said it today. It is well worth it. Remember our motto, the best that you'll ever be is what we allow each other to become. See you next week on the Win Show.